there, and welcome to Ghosted, Gagged, and Gay, the podcast where we unpack the messy, magical, and sometimes maddening world of queer love. I'm Lone, your host, queer relationship coach, and rapid transformational therapy practitioner. If your love life feels like a remix of the same heartbreak on repeat, you're not alone. The truth is, our subconscious often runs the show. But the good news is it can be rewritten. That's the work I do in my Radiant Hearts Transformation program, helping queer individuals uncover the deeper patterns keeping them stuck and step into the love they truly want. If you're curious, feel free to book a free call with me. But today, let's shift the spotlight to stories, insights, and maybe even a few truth bombs that help us grow. Let's get into it. Today's guest is Yannick Picard, a queer life coach on a mission to help people overcome self sabotage and reclaim their power. From falling in love with personal development at the age of 16, thanks to a Tony Robbins cassette tape, to navigating heartbreak and high achieving careers, Yannick has lived the journey he now helps others walk, basically. He specializes in helping clients break free from functional freeze, that stuck but still smiling mode so many of us live in, and guides them towards more confidence, clarity, and connection. So let's dive in. Welcome, Yannick.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy that you're here too. Thank you for joining me. And so, Yannick, do you remember the exact moment you realized you were getting in your own way, that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't the world, it was something from deep within?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, but I do remember, and it's a moment that once when you see it, it's almost like a reflection, and once you see it, it's something that you can't unsee. It's almost like something like you're driving a car, like it's in your blind spot for so long, but then eventually, like maybe like you move your head a little bit, like to use the analogy, and then all of a sudden you see something like a huge object that's there that you had no idea until that point that was there. So I was doing like all the things and yet I still felt stuck inside. And like after going through like breakup after breakup, like oftentimes like people tend to give their power away and as opposed to basically reclaim that power. And I was one of them. I'll admit it. And that's when I realized, I'm like, well, wait a sec, like okay, so this relationship ended, that relationship ended, so hold on, like I'm the common denominator here. And it wasn't really as much as life was trying to hold me back. Like if we take a look at sometimes we so, like some of us tend to possibly go like the victim route. It's like, oh, it's like I'm the unlucky one, or like they did this to me or whatnot. And so I decided to kind of like a little bit like flip the script in a sense and started looking at it from the other perspective. And it wasn't so much about like life holding me back as like a punishment or like I was unlucky or anything like that, but it was life basically like wanting to keep me safe.
Okay, how
And
so?
yeah, and I mean like it was that crack basically that led me to what I now teach about functional freeze. And so basically, like, yeah, like your brain
Mhm.
is here to keep you safe physically and emotionally. And so, if, for example, you go through some, let's just say, challenging times, challenging relationships, to keep it on a little bit more like on topic, well, what happens is that like you go through, for example, a breakup,
Mhm.
and that's heartbreaking. And then I don't know, like you find a way, you muster to find the courage to maybe a couple months later start dating again, and then things are good, and then there's another breakup. and sometimes like what happens is that like you start to have beliefs, and those beliefs basically kind of like can hold you back, because what you could come up with sometimes, and I come across this like so often, is that like I'll have clients saying like, oh, like, you know what, like I've been living in X city, like
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what it is, whether it's like Boston, Los Angeles, New York, like San Antonio, or like, and it's really just like, oh, it's like for example, like all the guys in blank city, so London,
Yeah.
Paris, like wherever it is that they're living at the point, it's like they're all like blank, and that's just
Okay.
like the whatever word they want to use, right? Like and so they basically think that oh, you know what, like I'm going to move to a different city.
Yeah.
And I think that like, and they think that by moving to a different city, that's going to fix the issue, because the issue is where they live.
Okay, but basically it's from within. I mean, most of our blockages come from within, not from external reasons. Of course, sometimes external circumstances affect our lives, but if there's a repeating pattern, as you said earlier, it's most likely that we need to find the answer from within. What was it
Right.
for you that you were like you realized, oh, this is the problem I'm like, because you mentioned you realized a pattern,
Yeah.
and what was it
And
for you?
so the pattern was really, and this is something that like I didn't know at the time. Like I it was through like reading and research that I realized that, well, hey, like human beings, and this is not something new. This is something that ancestors like back to the caveman came up to. And when we're faced with a threats right now are very, very different than back like in cave days, right? Because in back in the cave days, it's like for example, and I'll go very, very like you didn't have situations where like you were like cross you had to deal with crossing the street and like a car could accidentally like hit you. Like that wasn't something that was existing back then, right? So it's very, very, it's that part of the brain didn't really evolve
Hmm.
as much as we have evolved as a species. And so the way that we, when we see threats, there's only a couple of different ways that our body reacts. And like for example, one of them is that we'll fight. So when we see a threat, we'll get into a fight mode. Sometimes when we see a threat, we'll get into like fawn.
Hmm.
So back then, like if our like ancestors saw a bear, like a brown bear, they
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily, if they're one person, they wouldn't necessarily try to fight the bear, right? So
Yeah.
so they might decide to, oh, I'll play dead as
Yeah.
an example, or they might say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna like hightail it, I'm gonna run. And so that's one of the other responses is flight. But the one that I really kind of like focused more on was the freeze. That,
Hmm.
okay, I'm not going to move, and hopefully the threat, the bear in this case, in this example, will go away. Will kind of like stiff me, and then just decide that, oh, well, okay, well, this isn't for me, and then just go away, and then you'll
Yeah.
be safe. So basically, looking at freeze, there's it's almost like there's a subset of
Hmm.
freeze, of the freeze response, which is functional freeze. And functional freeze is basically, it's like, hey, it's like you live your day,
Hmm.
but you're still stuck in that threat mode, like almost like 24 hours a day. And
Oh,
so
wow.
so basically, yeah, so functional freeze is really what led me to a lot of aha moments.
So you were, so like your repeating pattern led you to like realizing that you were just like having, like you were stuck somewhere and you were just going through the motions of like one dating experience or one relationship after the other, but there's something that's keeping you
Yeah.
stuck. Was that it?
Well, it's almost like I was always inviting the same type of person in, just played by a different guy.
Okay.
And so for example, yeah, so I like things, I mean, just like any relationship, right? Things are always great at the beginning.
Of course.
And that's why they say, well, sign a prenup, because when things are going well, because you don't want to do that after, because then like that it kind of defeats the purpose. But yeah, so it was a situation so functional freeze is something that really happens in a lot of high achieving individuals, and it's really your central nervous system hitting like the big like a big pause button.
Okay.
But it keeps you performing. So it doesn't stop you from getting up in the morning, like making coffee, taking a shower, hopping on
So
like transit or
so
whatnot,
you
and then going to
still
work.
so you still like just keep going in your life, but can you explain what that looks like, especially as you mentioned for like high achieving or seemingly put together people?
Yeah.
Like how does it show up?
Yeah, I love the air quotes that you did for put together, because it is that's exactly what it is, right? So inside, like there's this, it's almost like there's this fog, um, like a level of numbness, of
Hmm.
feeling disconnected, and you're not in crisis, but you're certainly not living either. So if you take a look at sort of like a roller coaster, like when you start, you go up, 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 and then you start going down, and then like and all that stuff. It's almost like you cut off all the highs,
Hmm.
um, and as a result, you also remove yourself like from all of the lows. So it's almost like you flatline, as like if you were like a patient like in the emergency room. It's
Hmm.
like when you hear like the bells ring, because like you're
Oh
like
no.
you flatline. So it's very similar. So it's not in crisis, and it's not something that will stop you from earning a living, from having friends, and so on and so forth. Uh, but it's like it's not you're not really living life. You're just sort of like sort of like experiencing life, but like a very through a very narrow band of emotions, and that's really to your brain's interpretation is really to keep you safe. So it's it's a lot of people basically like have different experiences of this, but yeah, like
Okay.
if I can kind of like share it that way, it's really like for me it was almost like I would not want to get super excited, because
Okay.
on the flip side, it's like, oh, it's not going to work out, or this isn't going to work out, so or this is too good to be true. And of course, like your brain basically, like the moment that you decide that hey, this is the truth, your brain keeps looking for evidence that it's true, and to prove you that hey, that your belief is true, because that's also part of your brain's job is to basically to keep you safe, and to validate your beliefs.
That's
So
true.
and every time that you come across a belief sorry, a situation that reinforces that belief, it's almost like somebody using like a highlighter and just
Hmm.
highlighting that moment to say, hey, you know what, like this is true. And if you think that like, oh, that you'll like visualize like a highlighter, that's not how it works. It's like your brain basically have like has all these like these data points,
Hmm.
and it does it like without you even knowing or noticing. And so you get to situations where it's like, hey, it's like the functional freeze will put you in a certain situation, and you'll think that life is this way, and then basically the way that your brain works is that like it'll just point out evidence that it's true, and the
Yeah.
times that it disproves it, it'll just discount it as oh, this is just an
It
exception.
will just completely
And
like ignore it.
pretty much,
Yeah.
unless you catch it or somebody points it out to you.
Yeah, of course. And like, but first step is always like being aware of that you might be going through this functional freeze. So is that like the symptoms, or yeah, like I'm gonna call it the symptoms that you mentioned? Is that how it showed up in your own life before you could name it?
Yeah, so what I notice is that I procrastinate a lot, on
Okay.
the things that I cared a lot about. And it was just a way for my brain to protect me, because like, oh, if I care about something, and it's like there's this huge belief that like either like I'm not worthy or it's not going to work out, then my brain basically, it's almost like it tapers my desire, my flame. It's
Hmm.
almost like it tries to extinguish that flame so that I don't have to deal with the upset that I've experienced in the past
Okay.
to come back for that situation. So a lot of the times people say like, "Oh, you're a procrastinator. You're just freaking lazy." And you know what? I think that is so harsh and so not true. It's just a protective mechanism. So in relationship, like I'd almost it's almost like I'd work twice as hard to prove my worth. I'd often overanalyze very simple decisions,
Hmm.
and like I'd beat myself up when I made delays. So from the outside, like a lot of people have told me this is like you look like a really like confident person, but inside I was really like just like a micro step away from constant internal shutdown
I
because my brain just wanted to protect me. It's like, hey, it's like breakups suck. So if I can prevent like a future relationship from happening, then it's in your best interest because like you're tired of living this. So it's having that CD like just like on repeat, that song on repeat all like over and over again,
Yeah.
and your brain says like, okay, so well this seems to be true because it happened the last like 5, 10 times. So and breakups are terrible. So yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of like I'm gonna keep you safe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, most of like for just going back to procrastination, procrastination is always a trauma response. And yeah, actually, like you mentioned something about like past experiences and so on. Actually, like many of us, like we're people, grow up needing to perform emotional strength because, you know, of all the suppression and kind of like living in denial of some parts of us. How do you think this like survival strategy that a lot of us go through feed into functional freeze as adults?
Well, I mean, like we become chameleons, sort of like
Yeah.
really. So it's like, hey, it's like, oh, like I need to be funny. I need to be successful. I need to be unbothered. Um, but we stray away from who we we stray away from who we want to be, from being
Hmm.
in alignment with who we want to be.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
there's
that's
like, oh,
true.
there's the outside and then there's the inside, and it's like, well, if I wear my heart on my shoulder,
Hmm.
then it's like I like it could cause some like some so sort of like like not necessarily always like a heartbreak, but it could cause something down the line that would be detrimental to me. And this is sort of like everybody has their own map of the world.
Hmm.
So like I can't speak with for somebody else. Yeah, I mean like there's patterns and stuff like that. So sometimes like it's simple to see like certain things because they appear like very similarly in everybody who exhibits that. But yeah, oftentimes it's just really the constant wanting to perform, and we're in a world of wanting like wanting to perform,
Yeah.
and so it kind of like trains us to suppress like our real emotions, and freeze becomes the nervous system's way of saying, hey, you know what, it's safer to stay hidden,
That's
because if I
true.
speak up, then I don't know what the outer reaction will be um to me saying something, and
Yeah.
that's a real shame. And you see that so often where people, there's sort of like a like somebody like if we use work, like a boss that's very closed off or whatnot, and it's like, well, if I speak up, then like I mean like I have a family to feed and so on, so it's like if I speak up, then I might not have a job,
Exactly.
and it's like, and
And
like I won't be able to take care of my family, or any variation of that really.
that's true. Yeah,
So
I think like actually now you mentioned that I think a couple of years ago I think I was going through something like that because I felt like nothing was exciting me enough. I was still doing everything I want to do, but yeah, it was just like without any emotions like, or it at least it felt without any emotions connected to it. Of course, I was feeling some stuff, but yeah, like without these like intensities. It felt like my life was very monotonous.
Mm,
And yeah, I think that's like I think I can relate to what you're talking about. And for me, the way I managed to get out of that was by really just kind of bringing awareness to what I'm feeling. And of course, I got also a lot of help and support from family, friends, and also like some therapy sessions. And yeah, like, but the first step for me was like just being aware, like, okay, when something I used to be excited about is not exciting me anymore, that was one of my first signs, like, oh, I might need to look into that.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so basically, now talking about like signs and so on. So, for the listeners, because sometimes it's really hard to realize like if you're going through something, like just as people say, if you're depressed, you wouldn't know it.
Mm,
So what are like some subtle signs that someone might be stuck in freeze, that can be, like they can just kind of try to be aware of that and then recognize, oh, this can be a sign of that. What
yeah.
subtle signs do you say that it can be a great sign of like you might be going into functional freeze?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And the interesting thing is that for some people, like for some of us, it's almost like so ingrained that that they'll have a difficulty noticing themselves. It's almost like it's their inner circle that kind of like would have to point that out, or would have had to say something and some key words to listen for. If you're not sure,
Yeah.
some key words is well, hey, you're feeling foggy. You're emotionally flat.
Hmm.
You're just meh. It's like all the time, and you might not necessarily realize that this is your modus operandi,
Hmm.
but certainly your friends can actually reflect that back to you. And if you hear your friends say, it's like, well, it's like you like something seems like off, or you seem like I don't want to necessarily say that you don't care, but
Hmm.
you like it's like it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, and
Like you're not
yeah,
present in the
and
moment.
not in the good way, like we're in the Buddhist way, where it's like, hey, it's like, you know what? Hey, this situation happens. Is it good? Is it bad? It's like, well, who knows?
Yeah.
So not in that way, but in the way where it's like, oh my God, like this happened. It's like, eh, it did. It's like, I'm
Yeah,
over it.
it's like not really being present in the moment
Yeah,
or the experience. Yeah, I think friends, like at least your closest friends or family, they can always compare because they're like an external observer.
yeah,
But yeah, these are actually really good signs. Like for me, it actually worked to realize that like the may feeling that you were talking about, or this
yeah.
like just existing. Um, so I feel
But there's
like
a
this
couple.
is yeah.
No, I was gonna say there's a couple of other things also that you can notice.
Okay.
And if for example, because I think this is super important. So if you notice that you're struggling with decisions,
Mm-hmm.
or replaying social moments in your
Mm-hmm.
head all the time. Oh, did I do the right thing, or whatnot? So that might be like a subtle sign. If
Okay.
if you're looking if you look like you're successful but feeling weirdly empty
Mm-hmm.
inside, that might be another sign. If you and I shared this as my own example, but if you're procrastinating on what like you truly desire,
Mm-hmm.
so consider that that might be like on its own,
Yeah.
maybe not. But if you basically, it's almost like if you have a like the sometimes like some health organization will say like, hey, it's like here are the symptoms, like just one out of like 10,
Mm-hmm.
probably not. But if you're
True.
noticing that you're ticking off like a couple of the boxes, then it's like, oh, wait a sec.
I need to
Maybe
look into that. Yeah.
I might need to, maybe I should go see my doctor, or maybe I should get so procrastinating on what you truly desire. And if you feel that you're more of like a spectator in your life as opposed to actually living your life, that's also
That's a big
another
sign.
good one. And so yeah, so these are sort of like the like I guess like the list of things that you can kind of like check off.
Yeah.
And
And also sometimes like it's, like if it's just 1 day or 2 days going through some of these boxes, it doesn't mean immediately like, oh, you are in functional freeze. It can be just a passing thing. But we're talking about like over a certain period of time, you're experiencing this on a very regular, frequent, or even continuous basis, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And actually, like how, like just to kind of reflect on relationships, like how does functional freeze just very briefly, because we're actually running out of time, like very briefly, like how does functional freeze look in a relationship?
Okay. Well, I mean, so sort of the things in terms of relationship is just like your if you find yourself really numbing the highs and the lows, and replaying an event like
Hmm.
over like an interaction that you had, or if you find that you're procrastinating and having that conversation, and it's like, oh, it's like I want to like like I feel that we have to have this conversation, but like I'm afraid of being dumped, for example, after we have this difficult conversation.
Hmm.
And no conversation is difficult per se. It's the label that we attach to them. Because like for example, like an easy conversation might be, hey, it's like, hey honey, do you want coffee? I'm just gonna go like to like XYZ coffee chain or the local coffee chain, grab something.
Yeah,
Super easy conversation, right? It's like, oh yeah.
true.
Because you know that the outcome isn't a breakup.
Mm.
So, but on the flip side, if you're noticing that the person like your partner has become distant
Hmm.
and you're afraid to ask why,
Yeah.
because like, oh, wait a sec, like they're distant, like maybe it's and oftentimes it'll be like, oh, it's like we bring it back to ourselves, like, oh, it must be something that I did.
Hmm.
But then you're afraid to ask, hey, like what's going
Hmm.
on? And there's oftentimes like ego comes in and judgment and so on.
Of
And so
course.
often like we're just not we just don't feel fluid in how we ask the questions,
Hmm.
because there are ways to basically ask the question. You say, hey, it's um like I've noticed something. Can can we just have a couple minutes just to chat about this?
Hmm.
Like I've noticed that like X, Y, and Z. And
Okay.
I'm just wondering like that's not usually like how things like have gone in the past. So I'm just wondering like has something changed or whatnot? And sometimes it might just be it might just be something silly.
True.
And oftentimes it is something silly, but it's not like when we go through college or university or whatnot that we're given a course on, hey, it's like, you know what, communication skills.
Yeah.
Because people just say it's like, well, I know how to communicate. And it's funny, like I like I'll go on dating apps, and this
Hmm.
one guy in particular, I asked him, he started the conversation,
Yeah.
and then it got to, oh, it's like, I see that you're a professor, like what do you teach? And he was actually a professor at university in communications.
Yeah.
And then I started scrolling through the conversation, and other than the initial question that started the chat,
Hmm.
everything that he'd done after that was like 1 to 3 word answers without asking a question.
Yeah.
And it comes back down to there's an expression in French, and there's probably one similar in English, but the expression in French is cordonnier est mal chaussé, which is like the shoemaker has the worst shoes.
That's always known. Yeah.
So yeah, and so if you imagine that, like, hey, it's like he's like that's what he teaches students, and yet he shows up this way. So just to tell you that you might have a PhD in communication, and it
So,
still might not necessarily in real life, it might not necessarily still be your strongest suit.
yeah,
um
exactly.
so
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 basically in like relationships, it would like if you're the person who's noticing that, like you need to notice it over a period of time, and then like I always say, kindness always goes like a long way. So just show kindness,
Curiosity also, like as opposed to
curiosity.
being judgmental, just be
Exactly.
curious. And
Exactly. Like make a safe space for your partner to come in and share their thoughts without judgment. But if you are
yeah,
like the kind of person who's on the other side, like experiencing the functional freeze, just try to notice like the things that used to make you excited that are not anymore, and just look into that. Like also the list of like subtle signs that could be the case. I will actually share it below
yeah.
the
And
episode, so you can also like kind of a checklist.
the other thing also is that if you're the one who's on the side of like experiencing functional freeze, you might actually, and I know that it's going to be difficult, but if you're aware of it, then it might give you something to start with. Try showing up vulnerably and
Hmm.
going up to your partner and saying, "Hey, um, there's something that I want to share with you, and I'm really, really scared."
Yeah.
Um, and but I feel that like we need to have like we need to chat about something. But
Yeah.
I'm super afraid based on my past experiences that
Hmm.
this is basically like this is going to end up being a train wreck and and like and explain to them like what's going on. And oftentimes
Exactly.
that helps. I don't want to say like set the mood, but that sets the tone
Yeah.
for the other person. Say, hey, it's like, wait a sec, like he's showing up vulnerably and it's important to them. So you know what? Like
I'll sit down and
I should
listen.
stop doing what I'm doing
Yeah.
because like this person matters to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, like just saying that it will already start the process of getting out of the functional freeze, or at least like being aware
To
of
thaw.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't know what's going on, just going to your partner and saying like, I'm going through something, but I don't know what it is, that it's already a start. So that's great actually. And sorry, I think we can talk for hours and hours about that. Like, it's a very interesting topic. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe, who
My
knows, we make
pleasure.
a second episode talking more into details and depth. Um, but yeah, can you, before we wrap up, can you just shortly tell us about your program, what you offer, so that, in case somebody is experiencing that or might be experiencing that, maybe they can contact you. I'll also drop down your links underneath the episode, just in case.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what I really kind of like go into is we basically sort of like open up this book on the different types of responses when we see threat. And again, like in today's world, like it's not really coming up against a like a bear. Like the threat might be something like more subtle, where it's like, oh, like the threat for me, it perceived is that, oh, if I speak to my partner, then the relationship's going to end. So your
Yeah,
brain basically it's like your brain doesn't really discern that threat. Oh, wait a sec, like it's existential, like your life is in danger versus, and it just combines everything like under like
true.
it yeah, just everything. And so it's learning more about that, learning about like your responses, learning
Hmm.
at what you can do to slowly thaw, because it's not an overnight thing. It's not like, hey, it's like I can throw myself like oh, it's like I don't know, like 30 Celsius outside. It's warm, so I'm just gonna go outside in the sun for 15 minutes
Then a
and I'm
microwave
gonna be good.
solution, yeah.
Or yeah, it's exactly. There's no 90-second microwave like blast on high and it works. But it's about learning what options you have
Hmm.
and then slowly starting to embody them.
Yeah.
So and it's taking it one day at a time and learning. It's almost like learning or teaching your central nervous system that, hey, I'm safe enough to try.
Hmm.
And yeah, that one sentence can really like start the process of
Because I feel like if you don't um like take the first steps, like even though you're afraid of losing your relationship or someone you love, then but if you don't say anything, you will be losing yourself basically slowly. And of course nobody wants that. So just
yeah.
to yeah, just to so like basically you help people navigate through that and cover their like responses and so on. Like, can you tell
Yeah.
us more details, please?
Yeah. So it's a 12-week program, sorry, where I basically go through and we go through together, like, okay, so here's what because everybody's slightly different, like whatever situation's coming up. And so we like the program is really tailored uh towards like their situation, what they're looking to get as a result. And so everybody's slightly different. So, but yeah, generally speaking, it's basically understanding what got you there, understanding and learning what you can do now, and then basically just starting to embody that and seeing the reaction, the response, and then basically learning or reteaching your central nervous system that hey, it's safe. So whereas like by default you're coming in from don't move,
Hmm.
it's safer to stay small and not to say anything. So it's
I
it's
see.
it's it like part of it is really like unlearning what you've been doing for 10, 20, 30, 40
Of
years,
course, yeah.
and learning what are options that are available to you, because oftentimes it's like you don't know what you don't know. And so if you know that, oh, wait a sec, that's an option, when you're faced with that threat, you can basically say, oh, wait a sec, like I remember, like so that's something that I can do. I'm going to try it now.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. So I will put down your link for anybody who wants to book a call with you, and if they want to explore whether they're having a functional freeze or not. And yeah, I read actually like your 12 weeks program, and it sounds very, very promising. So I totally recommend people to go and check it out and maybe book a call with you and then see how things go, because yeah, like as I said, losing yourself is definitely worse than the fear of losing somebody, and you might not even lose them eventually.
Well, you not doing anything might end up being what you're trying to prevent will happen
Exactly.
anyways. So yeah, so you continuing what you used to do in the past might be, and usually is, in my experience, what ends up like losing it anyways. So
That's
it's like,
true.
well, if you're gonna lose, if you can see that, well, wait a sec, like this is what I did in the past and I always lost, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna try something different, and you know what? Whatever happens, happens. Like
exactly.
at least I can say that I tried.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you so much, Yannick, for sharing all that info with us. Yeah, hopefully we make more episodes together. And for everybody who is listening, thank you for being here on Ghosted, Gagged, and Gay. If you've got a story of queer love gone wrong or right, or any experience that can help anybody get inspired, I would love to hear it, so I will put the link in the caption. You can book a call with me, and then you can be my next guest and share your story to inspire others. And yeah, until then, be kind to your heart and be kind to each other, and let's keep our hearts as queer as possible. Thank you very much, Yannick, and the audience, and until next time. Bye bye.
Bye.